American Top 40.
This is Casey Kasem on American Top 40, and now, the current hit by the only artist with whom the four Beatles ever shared performing credits on a record label. On more than 60 chart records by the greatest of the supergroups, no other name ever appeared with theirs as the recording artists. The Beatles first saw this man perform 10 years ago in Hamburg, Germany, when he was touring with Little Richard, and they had such respect for his talent at the keyboard that they dedicate songs to him. At the time, he was 16 years old. A few years later, he joined Ray Charles, played on his recording sessions, was featured with him on the Shindig TV show, and toured with him. In 1969, when the Charles Show made a television appearance in London, George Harrison saw the keyboard artist on the tube and sent word asking him to drop by Apple Studios. When he got there, the Beatles were recording Get Back, which hit number 1 about 3 years ago, and they invited him to join in on the electric piano. When the record was released, his name was on it. The label reads, The Beatles with Billy Preston. In our countdown this week, he's all by himself at number 17. Last week at 28, this week it moves all the way up to number 17. That's Billy Preston and Out of Space.
Casey's Coast to Coast, American Top 40.
Now the current hit by the genius rock and soul musician who, when he was only 10 years old, was featured in a concert playing the organ behind the greatest gospel singer the world has ever known, the late Mahalia Jackson, which led directly, when he was 12 years old, to a part in a movie starring the biggest black entertainers in the business, headed by Nat King Cole and Eartha Kitt. His mother appreciated the advantages of getting an early start in show business. She'd played the part of Sapphire in the Amos and Andy Roadshow, so she knew what it was all about. And when their church presented a concert with Mahalia Jackson's traveling gospel show, the talented 10-year-old organist was asked to accompany Mahalia, and Mom was all for it. Now it happened that in the audience was a man from Paramount Pictures, the man who was producing St. Louis Blues, the life story of the father of the blues, W.C. Handy. And at that concert, he saw the kid he was looking for to play W.C. Handy as a child. And so our young man went from backing Mahalia Jackson when he was 10 to acting in a motion picture when he was 12. Well, he's 26 now, and his smash instrumental, which has been climbing the chart 8 or 10 notches at a time, is at number 9 this week. Here's the acknowledged genius of the keyboard, Billy Preston. Billy Preston moving from number 17 to number 9, right into the top 10 with Out of Space, and the countdown rolls on.
American Top 40.
Now on AT40, time for the hit by the artist whose biography reads like a corny Hollywood movie of the 1940s. You see, by the time he was 10 years old, he'd become a featured musical attraction at his family church in Houston, Texas, and he'd earned the reputation of, quote, boy genius of the organ. When the church presented a concert with the great Mahalia Jackson's traveling gospel show, the talented 10-year-old was asked to accompany Mahalia. And in the audience, there happened to be a man from Paramount Pictures, the man who was preparing to produce St. Louis Blues, the life story of the father of the blues, W.C. Handy. And at the concert, he saw the kid he was looking for to play W.C. Handy as a child. So our lad went from backing Mahalia Jackson when he was 10 to the title role in a motion picture that starred the biggest black entertainers in the business at the time, a cast headed by Nat King Cole and Eartha Kitt. But playing the organ and not acting continued to be his main thing. In fact, he became the favorite keyboard man of Ray Charles and the Beatles. He's 27 years old now and has been making hits on his own for a couple of years. Here he is, Billy Preston. After a couple of weeks at number 4 on American Top 40, that drops 2 notches. Billy Preston with Space Race.
The hits from coast to coast.
Here now is a current hit by a giant in the world of rock musicians. They call him the genius of the organ keyboard, probably the most respected session man in the business today. And when he comes home to Los Angeles, he still plays organ at his local church on Sundays. You know, the award he most cherishes, and he's got a lot of them, sits in an alcove near his fireplace. It's a small gold trophy in the shape of a musical note, and it reads, Grace Memorial Church Award, 1971, to Billy Preston for caring. Here he is at number 35 this week with Space Race, a former top 10 song now at number 35. It's been around a long time, Billy Preston's Space Race.
American Top 40.
This is Casey on AT40, and I have now the latest hit by the recording artist who saved himself $14,000 recently, flying from London to Los Angeles. He did it by shipping his piano as air freight instead of bringing it aboard the passenger plane with him. When he showed up at the airport, he weighed in with all of his musical gear, and the excess baggage charge came to $21,600. Now, as he flipped through his wallet trying to decide which credit card to put it on, airport officials persuaded him to ship the piano and most of the other musical gear as air freight, which brought his excess baggage charges way down to a mere $7,000. Penny saved is penny earned. His latest hit moves up 6 notches to number 25 this week. Here's Billy Preston. Moved from number 31 to 25 this week in American Top 40. Billy Preston with Nothing from Nothing.
American Top 40.
This is Casey Kasem on American Top 40 in Hollywood. And now we're up to the song by the only person that the Beatles ever shared label credits with on a number 1 record. Listen to this. From 1969, those are the Beatles with Get Back, the only number 1 record on which the Beatles ever shared label credits with another artist. And 4 years later, this other artist was involved in a crazy chart coincidence with 2 of the Beatles. By this time, of course, they were ex-Beatles. It was 1973, and Paul McCartney was in the number 1 spot with My Love. And he was replaced in the top position by George Harrison's Give Me Love. And George was replaced at number 1 by this other artist with a song called Will It Go Round in Circles. Get the picture? 3 artists who were on a number 1 record together, Get Back, later hitting number 1 individually, one right after another. Now, who is this other artist? The only person ever to share label credits with the Beatles on a number 1 song? Why, it's musician Billy Preston, who got that label credit for playing keyboards on Get Back. And now, singer-composer and organist Billy Preston is in the countdown in a duet with Sarita at number 22. Here's With You, I'm Born Again. Billy Preston and Sarita from the soundtrack of the motion picture Fast Break. With You, I'm Born Again.
American Top 40.
Spanning the globe, this is AT40's Rock and Roll Triathlon, the 40 biggest artists who have hit in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Well, now, here's a man who makes our countdown because he was a 5th Beatle. That's right, and you thought they were only the Fab Four. In 1969, the Beatles single Get Back had label credits that read The Beatles with Billy Preston. The singer and keyboardist from Houston, Texas, went on to hit solo in the 70s with number 1 songs like Will It Go Round in Circles and Nothing from Nothing. Billy Preston ranks at number 31. Here's his 1980s top 10 duet with Sarita Wright. With You, I'm Born Again.
Come bring me.
With You, I'm Born Again. Billy Preston singing a duet with Sarita Wright. Billy hit the top 10 in the 80s and also appeared in the top 40 in the 70s and the 60s. He's the 31st biggest artist in our countdown. From Hollywood, I'm Casey Kasem with American Top 40's special presentation of the Triathlon of Rock and Roll. We have 30 of the chart's longevity leaders yet to come. We'll continue in a moment.
Casey's Coast to Coast.